Year 10. How we doing? Oh, really? So good to hear. Quick recap of where we are. We've been starting theme 2 over the last few weeks. Part 1, 2.1 to be exact, and we've been looking at growth. Just a quick reminder, we've looked at organic and inorganic growth. Can you just spend like a couple of moments now just thinking back to that? Can you remember that? Can you remember the difference between the two? If not, you need to go back and have a little look, please. Keep revisiting the stuff that we're doing, okay? It's really important that just because we're not in the classroom, you're not going back over and having a quick look at things, okay? We've looked at PLC, so public limited companies, and mergers. We've looked at aims and objectives of business and how they change as a business changes and grows, okay? So that's what we've been looking at. If you need to go back over and have a little look at those, please do so, okay? Today, we're going to look at globalisation. So make this as the title in your notes, please. And you can put today's date. I'm recording this on the 9th. But actually, I guess for most of you, you'll be doing this on the 11th. Actually, or the 12th. So who knows? Put the date, even if it's just June. So key thing here, globalisation. We spell it with an S, okay? When you type it on the computer, it will autocorrect to a Z because the people who write the software are American. It's not American, it's S. Just spell it with an S, please. And it means trading internationally, yeah? Trading all around the globe. Love my little globe. Right, key concepts, first of all. Exports. What is an export? It's something made in the UK, so made here, but sold abroad, okay? What I want you to do now is pause. That stands for pause, okay? You're going to pause the video, and in your notes, you're going to do a little bit of research about what the UK exports a lot of, okay? And write some examples in your notes, okay? So pause me now and go and find out some key things that Britain exports. Unpause. Okay, imports. What are imports? Okay, they're the opposite of exports. Things made overseas but sold in the UK. Okay, what I want you to do now is P for pause and go and do some research and find out some of the major things that we import in this country. Okay, go. It's my pause face. Okay, so hopefully you've got some things like, you know, financial services, you've got some oil in there, maybe some cars, maybe some pearls. We're really good at pearls, did you know that? And you've got some stuff down there. What I want you to have a quick think about, okay, especially if you've got a little bit more time this week, is I want you to think about tourism, okay? Tourism in the UK, okay, is that an import or an export? And if I go on holiday to France, does that make me an export or an import? Okay, so have a little think about tourism and think about how tourism has been affected because of the coronavirus, and then think about how that affects UK businesses. Okay, right, we've got some more key points coming up here. Okay, again with some pause points. MNCs, hopefully you remember this term from geography, you know, back in year 9 or something. You will have learnt about this lower down the school. MNCs, multinational companies, they are companies that operate in many countries, okay? What I want you to do here is to pause the video and find me at least 5 examples, it shouldn't be too difficult, of businesses that you know of that operate in many different countries. Our next key point is businesses move production overseas due to lower labour costs and to avoid shipping. So, for example, if you're a Japanese car firm and you're selling most of your cars in Europe, well, actually, it makes more sense for you to come and build those cars in the UK, because otherwise you've got to build them in Japan and ship them all the way over here. It makes no sense. So just build them here. Yeah. Or let's say you're Dyson, you're based in the UK, and then actually it costs a lot to pay your staff here, so you go all the way to Malaysia instead, where the wages are lots cheaper, so therefore it's you've got less costs. Okay. P for pause. This is kind of for me, by the way, just to remember. I would like you to pause here and see if you can find some UK businesses that have moved abroad to benefit from cheaper costs. Okay. Other reasons that companies move overseas is to avoid import restrictions, which I'm going to come on to in a minute. Okay. So there are various things that governments will do to protect their domestic businesses. So businesses, the UK government will want to protect UK businesses, okay? And for those of you that are interested, or future economists, you know, it's all about keeping the money in the UK, okay? The government want businesses to be able to employ people, to keep that money in this country, yeah? So what they do is they used what's called protectionist policies, okay? And what that means is this. Imports, so any import into our country is taxed, okay? And it's taxed to help their own businesses, okay? So what I would like you to do at this pause point, please, is to look up import taxes and find out what things are taxed coming into this country. And are some things taxed more than others, okay? And if so, what is taxed highly and what isn't taxed at all, okay? So have a little look, please. Import taxes, and write a couple of examples. All right, we've got a different thing here, which is about a quota, okay? Now, a quota is a limit on the number of items that can be imported into a particular country. And again, this is to help domestic businesses. What I want you to do is to have a little think here about if there's a quota or a limit, yeah, on the amount of cars that we can import, what happens to the prices of those items, okay? And then, as a consequence, what happens to the demand of locally made products? Okay, so I'm going to give you an example now. I lived in Malaysia for a little bit, and in Malaysia there was a quota on cars that were allowed to be imported. The Malaysian government want everyone to own a Proton, which is made in Malaysia, so that Proton can employ more people in their factories, so less people are unemployed, right? So if you don't if you don't want to drive a Proton, you have to pay an absolute fortune, because there's only a few imported cars, and because there's only a few of them, they become more desirable, so therefore they become more expensive. Okay, so a brand new Proton, which is kind of what I drove when I was there, was about the same price as a like 20-year-old Volvo. Okay, just because the Volvo was imported. Yeah, and you could spot all the really rich people because they drove foreign cars. So that helps domestic businesses, okay? A subsidy can be given. So a subsidy, hopefully you already know that word, plural is subsidies, yeah? Can be given by a government to help export products overseas. So again, this is about the government of a country trying to help its own businesses. And what it might say is, okay, I'm going to help you out. We're going to pay your export costs or we're going to give you this amount of money towards your business, okay? And what it does then is it reduces the costs of that business and therefore makes them more competitive. Yeah, and then they can sell abroad, and then that money comes back to this country. All right. Pause point. If you could find out any items that you can get government subsidies for exporting, bonus points. Can I just say, this is quite a tricky topic to get your head around. And actually, it's one of the, it would be, you know, a really good one to be in class for, to have that kind of Q&A. If you're really struggling, please just jot down the key points, okay? And of course, we are going to revisit this when we get back, okay? When we get some actual FaceTime with each other, we will be going over. This is one of the topics that some people find a bit tricky, all right? So if that's you and you're just thinking, what is she going on about? Okay, please don't panic, okay? We will go over this. Okay, some countries, right, they group together. They want to avoid all of this stuff, yeah? They want to avoid quotas, import taxes. They want to avoid the effects of subsidies, okay? So what they do is, sorry, I'm not keeping this very still for those of you making notes. They keep, they get together in a little group. It's called a trade block or a trading block. And what they do is they group together and they say, right, let's just not have all these rules and restrictions between us. Yeah. So, I mean, it's wonderful because it allows free trade between particular countries. Okay. So there's 2 or 3 really famous ones. You might have heard of the European Union. It's this amazing thing we used to be part of. Anyway, never mind. Can you find out the names of some other trade blocks, where they are? And have a think, yeah, about what's the benefit of being in that trading block, okay? And then finally, you'll be relieved to know, because it's gone on quite a long time, if you are wondering, well, how could this look in an exam? Well, I've thought about that for you. This is how it might look like an exam, okay? Analyse the impact of globalisation. Is that what I wrote? It's very hard to read it back to front. For a UK company. All right, so say this was a 6-mark question. What? You'd have to really be thinking about the impact. So that could be, it could be benefits, it could be drawbacks, or it could be a bit of both. Okay, so I thought I'd just revisit your 6-mark structure with you. You would need to talk about 2 different things, and that could be 2 benefits. Okay, so you could talk about how globalisation means that there's new market opportunities. Yeah, I can now trade all around the world because I've got the internet and I can post stuff. I can set up a business selling, t-shirts in Canada. Okay, I've got better access to technology. Yeah, because of the internet, I couldn't do this 25 years ago. Yeah, but I can now. Or I might want to talk about it negatively and say, well, actually, I was doing quite well with my jam business, but now, there's threats from all over the world. There's jam businesses everywhere, and now I've got foreign competition. I'm not doing as well. Or it could be, okay, well, I'm selling lots of my jam. I don't even like jam. I don't know why I'm talking about jam. But the challenge of adapting products to a foreign market. So it could be, right, I've got to change my packaging. I've got to change my product slightly. Certain countries like things a bit sweeter or a bit less sweet. So I've got to adapt my jam for where I'm selling. So there's challenges there. So there's positives and negatives of globalisation. If you have time this week, okay, and some of you will have, I would like you, please, to have a go at writing the perfect answer to this question, okay? So as well as your class notes, and there was quite a lot there and a lot of pause points, so this is probably going to take you the best part of the 2-hour session. But if you are now looking at the clock and thinking, actually, I've got 30 minutes left, all right, then have a go at that question, okay? Good. And finally, if you've still got 30 minutes left, please be doing some Unit 1 revision, Theme 1 revision, okay? Coming up, we're going to be giving you an assessed piece of work, sort of to finish off the year. And this will be based on the Theme 1 content, okay? I mean, it is going to be open book. You are going to be at home doing it. However, you're not going to have hours and hours to be able to look things up and then write things. So the more confident you are with the topics, the better you will do in the assessment, okay? I'm going to give you more information about that next week, so please don't worry about this at all. You might have heard people talking about it, but please don't panic, okay? Right, I think that's everything. Over and out, year 10. Adios.